All last week, people were up in arms trying to figure out exactly where the season 5 trailer for Marvel Rivals was. Because we weren't hearing anything from NetEase, it started to get a lot of people who were speculating and saying that maybe they were going to delay the season 5 release because maybe there might be something going on behind the scenes. Maybe there were issues with the characters, or people were feeling like there were too many S being released and they were starting to get backlash, etc. But we actually just got a response the other day from Danny Koo, where he responded to another person asking the same thing. And his response is not what you're probably thinking that it is. Let's talk about it. YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Weather's actually really great, 70 degrees out here. Kind of weird for November. We'll take it though. Nonetheless, though, like I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of people were sitting back wondering over the last couple of days where exactly the trailer was for season 5 of Marvel Rivals. A lot of people were going back and forth. Some people were saying, hey, just give them some time. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of people were crashing out. Some people were just asking, where's the trailer? Just out of curiosity. And the thing is that I'm sure a lot of people were just curious because this doesn't really fit the normal way that they do the season releases. I mean, season 0 might have been one way because the game was newer and they hadn't really gotten their groove yet. But ever since then, it's pretty much been the same thing. We get a lot of the content creators that are really popular in the community. They get together, they play the game early, usually the weekend before. They usually have the test server and stuff where they let people in and they can test it out, probably for bugs and just to see kind of what the general vibe is, a temp check, so to speak. Et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of people too that just like to know these things so they can know what the battle pass is going to look like, what the new characters are going to look like. There's other content creators as well that want to be able to post videos about stuff and things like that. And just generally people just being curious and stuff. But speaking of cosmetics, let's go ahead and have a word from our sponsor. All right, so let's be honest. Who doesn't love buying cosmetics in video games nowadays? We all love to get a flashy new skin to show off to our friends and sometimes even our enemies. But getting all the different cosmetics that we want can start to add up and be a bit pricey. That's why I partnered with our sponsor for this video, Rushbuy.gg. They're a trusted top-up service that offers discounts up to 29% for games like Marvel Rivals, Genshin Impact, and even PUBG, and many more. And don't worry, topping up on Rushbuy.gg is completely safe and secure. They partner directly with game publishers and authorized suppliers to ensure all the items are sourced legitimately. I've even used them myself to buy this cool new Iron Man skin that you've been seeing me use in games. So before you top up in your next game, give Rushbuy.gg a try. I promise you won't be disappointed. And don't forget to use my code XDARKX1115 for an extra 12% discount. But this offer is only going to be valid for the first 2 weeks after publishing this video. So make sure to use it while you still can. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into it. So like I said, Danny Koo actually came out and somebody had asked him as well, hey, where's that season 5 trailer at? And he actually said before the new season arrives. Now, to me, I thought that was kind of funny, but there's a lot of people who are just kind of flaming him right now going no stuff, Sherlock, right? Clearly that's how trailers work. And the thing is, too, that I just want to talk about is that in the last video that I made about this, that there seemed like there was a lot of people who were clearly, obviously confused as well. I mean, because anytime that I make videos like this, it's only because it's something that the community is talking a lot about. So clearly it's a good topic to cover in a video versus something where no one is talking about it. But there still seemed like there was a lot of people, and I've noticed this trend before whenever I've said something that people felt like kind of went against NetEase or whatever. And that's just what I do here. I'm real. I'm not someone who just sits back and glazes a company or whatever the case is. If there's something I like, I'm going to say that. If it's something I'm indifferent about, I'll say that. If it's something that I disagree with, I'm also going to be vocal about that. But there always seems like there's this group of people that are just like, oh, we got to defend NetEase at all costs, right? Don't ask them any questions. Don't bother. Can you not just wait? First of all, yes, we can wait. That's not the point. The point is kind of let me give an example. Let's say that Spider-Man is supposed to release May of next year or something. I don't remember the exact date, but let's just say it's supposed to come out on May 20th or something like that, right? And it's May 15th and we haven't gotten a new trailer for Spider-Man. People are going to naturally be like, yo, where's the Spider-Man trailer? Why are they not giving us the trailer? Why are they not saying anything about it? Is it still even going to release? Those are normal questions to ask. If you're waiting on your Uber and the Uber is on the app and it says it's 5 minutes away, 15 minutes passes, you're going to say, where's the Uber at? But that would be the equivalent of someone standing behind you and being like, don't question Uber. Don't question Marvel. When they want to release the Spider-Man trailer, they'll release it. When they can you not just wait? It's like, brother, clearly I can wait, but you don't think this is kind of weird that we've always gotten stuff well before it's come out in regards to marketing and promotion and stuff, and now we're not? It's very natural for people to ask these questions and want to know what's going on, especially when we live in the day and age where we have the internet and you can literally just type few words into a text box and send it out into the whole entire world to where they're going to know what exactly is going on. The thing is, though, is that just for me personally, and I could be reading this wrong, but the vibe that I kind of got from Mr. Koo, Danny, whatever you want to call him, was that he's kind of just tired of our BS. Now, when I say our BS, I don't mean mine. I don't mean a lot of people that are probably listening. I just mean kind of like the community in general, because the thing is that let's say you got 100,000 people in a room, right? And I don't know, like 95,000 of those people are cheering you on, saying, "Oh man, you're doing a great job." And then you got 5,000 of them that are just like, "Oh, your game's trash. Why are you doing this? Fix your game. I lagged the other day. I lost a match. The matchmaking is terrible, et cetera, et cetera." People are always going to remember like the negative things over the positive things. So when you do have these people in the community that are constantly just like, "Give me this, give me that, blah, blah, do this. Why aren't you doing this? Release that. Where's Deadpool?" It starts to get to a point where it starts to kind of grate the nerves a little bit, and you do kind of get irritated. It happens with me every now and again, I'll be honest with you. Every now and again, you get thousands of comments a day, right? Most of them just chill, people chilling, whatever. After like that 200th like super negative comment, every now and again, I don't crash out in the comment section, but every now and again, in the nicest way humanly possible, I say, "Hey, listen, no one asked and no one cares," right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as human beings, that is normal. The same thing would happen to you. You might walk into your job every day. A lot of you probably have jobs where you have to deal with people, and you know how it is with your job. Customers can come in, they can say whatever they want to you, right? But you always have to have a smile on your face and be cheery. Every now and again, though, you might just kind of be like, "Hey, you know what, buddy? Here's what I think about whatever it is that you just said or what you did," right? And maybe you try to do it in the nicest way possible so you don't get fired. But we're all human beings. We all have a point where we get to where it's our breaking point. And I think this was kind of like the nicest way that he could possibly be like, "Hey, listen, we got stuff going on. We'll get that trailer out when we get it out to you." And a lot of people are saying that basically what was happening before, the way that they were structuring, which I did kind of think was a little bit weird. They would get a lot of these content creators, and even though I say it's weird, I understand it, but I also kind of think that it's one of those things where you have the best intentions, but then you start to kind of see that maybe it's not working out the best. Where, for example, like with Angela, a lot of people played with Angela early, and then they basically told their communities like, "Oh, well, Angela's trash," and that caused a lot of people to not be as excited about the season. And unfortunately, when you run a business, which gaming is a business, it's a multi-million-dollar, for some like Fortnite and other big, really big companies, it's a billion-dollar business. They make billions and billions of dollars off of people playing these games and buying cosmetics and stuff every day. So when you do run a business, and this is what's feeding yourself and your family and things like that, you don't want people to go and say negative things about it, or whatever the case is, because for them it's just whatever, they'll go and play another game. But for you, all the time and effort and work that you've put into this is now kind of like going down the drain. And as a community, we should want the game to do well, but we also shouldn't be at a point where we're not like critical of things that they do. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with people do it to me all the time. They come in the comment section and they say, "Hey, maybe the music was too loud in the intro, or maybe get to the point quicker," or whatever the case is. And it's not always a situation where you can listen to every little thing. But if I notice that you get 500 comments within a month that all kind of say the same thing, then I might try to like kind of make a correction here or there. Like I said, if anything, it only just makes your channel better and your business better when you're able to take constructive criticism. And like I said, just because someone says, "Hey, I think you should switch your content to talking about astronauts all day," or something, doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to completely do a whole channel change here just to talk about whatever it is they personally find interesting or whatever. Like I said, when people give you suggestions and they work or they make sense, you should try to implement them. That's just what it is. But at the same time, it is unfortunate simply because you do have, kind of like I was talking about earlier with Danny Koo and his comment, and how I kind of felt like he was just kind of irritated. I've seen this before. I can't remember exactly which game it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Modern Warfare 2019. I think it was Modern Warfare 2, or maybe even Modern Warfare 3. They had at some point brought in like a young lady. I can't remember her name, but they had brought her in, and she was pretty much just like the, community manager type of person. I don't know exactly what the title is for. You can let me know in the comments, whatever it's officially called. But, they had this one individual that would go on like Reddit and Twitter, the more popular platforms and stuff, and basically just kind of give people updates as to what's going on with the game and try to answer questions and stuff like that. And while a lot of people were positive, you also had a lot of people who were just very negative, and they would be trying to talk about how they're fixing a certain bug or the roadmap for something or whatever the case is. And you'd have 1,000 people come in and start saying like, "Oh, fix slide canceling," or "When are you guys going to add bunny hopping," or "Why'd you take that one skin out of the game," or "Your game is trash. Why don't you do this?" And it starts to build up to a point to where I don't know if she either just chose to not do it anymore, or if Activision decided like, "Hey, we're going to kind of pull this back and just have less communication with the community." And that's not what you want. there's a way to go about stuff and to ask stuff without coming off extremely toxic. I tell you guys a lot of times in the comments, like, hey, tell me how you feel about this, how you think about it. And for the most part, 99% of the people are super respectful. But then there's a lot of people that come in and they just can't seem to articulate themselves without trying to put someone down. And the thing is that in the day and age that we are in now, like, I can just literally just mute people. I don't have to, like, if you come in and you're hyper negative and just call me everything except a child of God, I can just press the mute button. I don't have to deal with you. And now you're probably sitting here because you don't know that. So you're probably sitting here commenting and you're talking into a void. And, you know, it's kind of the same thing with these companies. They get to a point where, like I said, they're originally they have the best intentions and they're trying to be open and communicate and stuff. But then they get to a point where they're like, hey, you know what, I'm just kind of tired of the BS. I don't even feel like dealing with it. I'd rather put my time into anything else instead of that. So I don't know if for a fact that's what it is. That was just kind of how I read it. This is all speculation on my end. But I do feel like I'm kind of good at like reading the room a lot of times. So for me personally, that's just kind of how it came across to me, was like, you'll get it when you get it, because it was clearly, obviously, it was either that or he's rage baiting, right? Like, so those are really the only two things, because clearly a trailer doesn't come after whatever the thing the trailer is for has been released. That's just clearly not how that works. But at the same time, though, I do think that they are probably trying to change how they release, you know, the new seasons and stuff like that. Whereas I don't think that putting a trailer out so close to the release is smart, simply because if you're watching a video like this, you probably stay tapped into what's going on the Rivals community. A lot of you come in the comments and you'll tell me stuff that, even though I stay pretty tapped in, subscribe to most of the people that get the news out immediately and stuff like that, a lot of you were like on it. You got those notifications on. You don't have battery saver on your phone, so it's just constantly giving you everything the millisecond that it's person presses or they press post or whatever the case is. But there are a lot of people, though, that don't know what's going on. I have a buddy of mine, and even though he watches my videos a lot of times, even before like Marvel Rivals and stuff, like back when we played COD, he would watch my videos. He would talk to me every day. I would tell him what was going on. He would somehow still go to get on the day of release and go, oh, there's an update today. He's a casual. He had a bunch of other stuff going on. Gaming was like probably the 15th most important thing to him. So he might hear you saying all this stuff, but it went in one ear and out the other. And a lot of people, they don't even pay attention to any of that stuff. They don't use social media. They just jump on a game and they go, oh, there's an update today or whatever. So releasing that information later, I feel like only is kind of like, it's not really doing you as much of a service as you would like it to be. But in regards to having content creators playing the game early and then basically saying like, oh, we don't like this or blah, 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 because a lot of stuff nowadays is just for clicks and views. So a lot of times they'll, you know, you have a lot of people out here who purposely say they don't like something, or maybe it just doesn't fit their play style or whatever. And a lot of people, unfortunately, will listen to this because they have followers and they'll go, oh, well, such and such said that it wasn't good, so I don't even care. I'm going to go off and play this other game. And right now, the competition is pretty fierce out there. Like, this isn't a time where like Marvel Rivals is the only new popular game and nobody else is really doing anything. There are so many games right now that are just actively competing for everyone else's attention. You can't even have a game release without its competitor going, you know what, we're just going to have some massive thing that we just kind of create or whatever. For example, the other day when Battlefield released, Call of Duty actually said, you know what, we're going to have another beta that's free to everybody. They'd already done all their normal betas and stuff, but when Battlefield released, they were so afraid that people would start paying that game more attention than them releasing their new, what is it, Black Ops 7 or something like that? I don't play it anymore, so I can't keep up, but I'm pretty sure it's Black Ops 7. Nonetheless, though, they were just being petty. Like, the weekend that it released, they literally just came out of nowhere and were like, you know what? Here's another beta, and it's free for everybody. So, like, every game is competing with everyone else now. It's not like how it used to be where games kind of purposely, you know how like a lot of times with movies, like if a lot of big movies won't release at the same time. Like if they know that there's another movie that's coming out, like for example, let's say it's a DC superhero movie and then you got a Marvel superhero movie. A lot of times they would actually move their schedules around so that they, when their movie released, there wasn't really anything else going on. Nowadays, it's not like that. Everyone's like, no, you got to choose. You can only see one movie this weekend. We're going to make it where you feel forced to want to see ours. You can only play one game this weekend. We're going to make you feel like you have to play ours. Right? So the marketing is really important, and how you go about it is even more important and stuff. And I do feel like there's a balance where you should be communicating with your community, because I do think that that's something that a lot of people talk about a lot. They say, oh, well, you know, NetEase is really tapped in with the community. They're constantly updating us and letting us know and stuff like that. Once you start to kind of stray away from that, like I said in my last video, it just causes people to start to assume the worst. That's just how people are naturally. People are always going to, if I don't know, let's just say somebody was to get fired from your job, right? And this person was there every day and it seemed like everything was cool, not a big deal, and they just randomly get fired. People are going to sit around and start whispering and speculating amongst each other. And they're just going to exponentially, just jump to the worst and worst like conclusions they can go to. They're gonna be like, oh, well, what were they? Maybe they were going to a Diddy party or doing this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, they probably just got fired because maybe it was like their third time coming into work late or something like that, right? But people aren't going to assume the lesser thing. People are always going to jump to the most crazy thing humanly possible. And like I said, that has to be some kind of like defense mechanism with our brains where just when we don't know, it's like we purposely kind of like prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario. And a lot of times we end up finding out like, oh, it wasn't really that big of a deal. But sometimes it is actually something that's really crazy. And sometimes it's crazier than anything that we could have possibly imagined. So, there's that. But like I said, I just wanted to update you guys because I did just make that video the other day. And though while we haven't had any official confirmation other than Danny Koo saying it'll be before the new season starts. And technically, if you think about it, he never even said that like the season is still starting when it starts. I know they said it was going to release, but guys, let's just think about it for a second. How often do games say they're going to come out at a particular time and then they keep pushing it back? Look at GTA. You know how hyped I've been for GTA to come out next year, like earlier in the year, around like what they say, like March or May or something like that. And they just pushed it back again. That's like their third time pushing it back. And of course, yeah, we're starting to find out that there's a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes. They just laid a bunch of people off. There's all types of stuff. This is one of the most popular games on the planet next to Tetris. Like I think it's literally one of the highest selling games on the planet, right? So the hype is immense would be a massive understatement, right? So like I said, we haven't had any official confirmation, but like I said, I try to be as optimistic as possible. So I don't think that they're probably going to delay it or anything. I do think that they're probably just pushing the trailer back a little bit and releasing it closer to the season. Maybe they decided that they wanted to go back and make a few changes or something, and that's what's really going on. It could be all these things coupled together, along with the fact, like I said, maybe they're trying to create less of a gap from when they start promoting it and showing off the actual gameplay from when it actually releases, because maybe a lot of people thought that was unfair. There could be a lot of different reasons. Like I said, it could be one of them, or it could be a couple of them put together, or it could be all these things put together, right? We don't know. A lot of people were saying as well that Necros, which I feel like a lot of people kind of think that he's probably one of the most tapped in individuals in regards to content creators with NetEase or whatever, and he was saying that we should be getting it Monday or Tuesday, but I personally just feel like Necros is kind of throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what's sticking. Honestly, that's just me personally. It doesn't sound like the way he said it. Like when you say, oh, it's probably going to be here Monday or Tuesday, I'm not betting anything on that, right? It's a lot different when someone comes out and says, no, I just got word this is definitely happening on this day at this time, or whatever the case is. So that's just my opinion on it. But like I said, this is an echo chamber. You guys are always more than welcome to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments. If there's anything that's happened in between somehow the last 24 hours when I saw this tweet from Danny Koo and I haven't been able to find anything else prior to recording this video, it is the internet. Stuff changes on a dime, right? There could have been new information from the time when I just pressed, stop recording on this video and started uploading it to the time that you all see it and get into the comment section. But I'm always down to hear different people's thoughts and opinions on it and stuff like that. But I do appreciate you all for listening. I'm Father Dark, and I'll catch you on the next one.